everyone, it's Kenzie Knox and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I decided to paint this nice little winter window landscape painting that I thought you might enjoy. So to begin off with, I am working on 11x14 mixed media paper that's in primer 1 layer gesso, and I've added ultramarine blue, Mars black, titanium white, crimson red, as well as dioxazine purple to my palette. So go ahead and add those colors to your palette. And I painted my background with a layer of black and titanium white, so you can see it's streaky, and that's perfectly fine. Or you can go with solid gray. So to begin off with, grab some ultramarine blue, some Mars black, and titanium white, mix that together, and we're just going to paint in the sky with this color. And it can be streaky or non-streaky, it's really up to you. But continue painting this down, and I'm using a size 8 filbert brush, but you can use a larger brush. Obviously, it would probably be a lot easier. Continue painting this down to you're about halfway down the canvas, and then we'll paint in our snow layer for the bottom of the canvas. So once you're done painting in the sky layer, go ahead and rinse off your brush, and we're going to go ahead and pick up some titanium white and just draw a line across the center for the snow. And because there's the gray underneath, it's going to make this white color a bit darker, which is perfect. It'll give us our natural shadows that we need. And we're just going to continue painting this down almost all the way down the canvas. But you can stop when you've reached like a little over 3/4 of the way down the canvas. Or you can go all the way down. It's really up to you, but you don't need to. I'm going to stop around here. And then the line I'm painting across that goes from the right side down and then goes down and then over to the left, that's going to be a little pathway. So we want the other areas to be lighter. So I'm just adding some more titanium white over these little areas, see right there. And I'm going to leave a little space, a little gap, and that's going to be a little roadway. And then I'm going to come toward us, so it's going to get smaller as the farther away it is from us, and the path will get larger as it comes towards us. Using ultramarine blue and titanium white, I'm going to now shade in the path and some of the snowy areas just to give it some other shadows. I'm just going to add some more white in some areas too, just to brighten it up. So now I'm going to take my size 6 flat brush and add some burnt sienna to my palette. I'm going to take that flat brush and dip into my burnt sienna. And I'm going to start painting in the window frame, so it's going to be a line over here. And just pull your paintbrush down straight and then draw a line straight across right where we stopped the white. And then another line over here on the other side. And that's going to be our window, and then we're going to paint a line down the center of the 2 lines. And then a line a little above the center horizontally. And that is our window right there that we're going to be looking out of. And so if you need to add additional paint, if your paint is see-through, transparent, or spotty, go ahead and just add another layer of paint to that. And feel free to dip your paintbrush in a little bit of water if your paint's not flowing easily. And you can tell I'm putting pressure on my brush because I want these lines to be a little bit thicker than the brush itself. So the less pressure you use, the thinner the line will be. So I'm pushing that brush pretty hard into the canvas to make that line pretty fat. So I'm going to rinse off my brush, dip into some titanium white, and we're going to start painting in a little, a tall tower over here. I guess this would be like the church or the steeple. And I'm going to come down and then go over, and that'll be like the roof right there. Do a little triangle, and draw a line straight over, and that will be our rooftop right there. And then I'm going to connect the tower and that rooftop. So just follow me along as I paint these lines in, and then I'm going to draw a line straight down, another line straight down, another one, and there we have our little steeple. And then I'm going to take some ultramarine blue, some Mars black, and titanium white, mix that up together, adding more titanium white, and I'm going to fill in the steeple. So this is a very light shade of light blue and black, almost white, but toned down a bit. And we're just going to paint in the steeple. So fill that in, don't fill in the roof. So obviously it's gloomy outside, so we don't want it to be bright white because the sun isn't directly hitting it. So we're just going to keep it a light gray shade. Okay, so now taking my size 2 flat brush, or angular brush, I'm sorry, you can use a flat brush if you'd like. I'm just going to fill in the rest of the house because it's easier using a smaller paintbrush. And then we're also going to map out some other houses as well afterwards. So now I'm just taking straight titanium white for the snow on top of the roof. And then I'm going to draw on another rooftop right here for another house. Fill in that little section of the roof for the snow. And then draw a line straight down, another line straight down. So this house is going to be like a barn color. So we're going to take that crimson red, add a little bit of light blue violet to it, and a little bit of white. And it's going to be almost a purpley red shade. And we're just going to paint this house in that shade, a very light shade, but kind of reddish purple in color. Rinse off your brush, dip into that crimson red and titanium white. And this house is going to be a bit more red in color. This is going to be a taller house, so there's the rooftop right there, which you can do in white if you'd like. It might be easier if you do that in white. I just was sketching out the house or painting it out. But then there's the rooftop line, and I'm just going to paint in the house, fill it in with that color of red. And you can use any red shade you have. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to use crimson red. You can use scarlet red or primary red. Any red's fine. And we're going to paint in the entire house, except not the rooftop. And so once you're done painting in the house, go ahead and rinse off your brush. And we're going to dip into some titanium white and paint in the snowy rooftop. Of course, because I painted mine in red, I have a little red paint in there, but that's okay because we're going to do layers of paint. You can see that little red tint right there, but don't forget the left side of the rooftops. Those need to be covered in snow as well. Grabbing just some plain red, we're going to darken in the shadowed areas or outline the house pretty much. So under the rooftop and down the sides and underneath. Rinse off your brush, grab some titanium white. We're going to draw in some windows now. So these tall, long windows, which are just little lines going down. And I'm still using that same angular brush. Grab some more titanium white. Now we're going to paint in the door, the big door to the steeple. And then we're going to paint a little awning over here, a little extension awning. Then we're going to grab more titanium white and do the snow on top of the little tower. And then more titanium white. And we're just going to do a little window up here in the tower. And another little circular clock thing, I think. And another window right here, maybe. And once you're done with that, we're now going to add the windows. Oh, we're just going to fix up this little awning area, add a little more white there. But we're just going to add in some windows on the other house, on that little purpley house. Just one on the side, two in the front, and one up top. And then to the red house, we'll add some other windows. About 5 of them going across the top, and probably 5 of them going across the bottom. Oh, actually 4, I'm sorry, 4 windows on the bottom. So 2 windows, then a door, and then 2 more windows. And then 2 windows on the side, 2 windows up top, 2 windows on the bottom, and 1 on the very top. And now we're going to add some windows that are coming out from the rooftop. I forget what those are called, but we're going to take some crimson red and just draw in a triangle right here with a square underneath it. Then we're going to draw a little side part to it that would be sticking out from the rooftop as well. And once you're done with that, you can go ahead and rinse off your brush. And we're going to pick up some Mars Black and paint in some shutters on the red house. So taking this black, I'm just going to draw little lines going down next to the windows. They're going to be like little black shutters. Add them to the sides windows too. And to the up top. And then rinse off your brush, grab some titanium white, and we're going to add some more snow to the rooftop of the windows that we created on the roof. And to the roof as well. Trying to cover up that red tint that we got. And rinse out your brush. Grab some ultramarine blue, some Mars Black, titanium white, and we're going to draw on another house over here. And this is going to be a smaller house, so it doesn't need as much detail. So just draw a little roof in the side of the house, and then just paint in the side, the other side of the front of the house. Then we'll add a little highlight to that afterwards. And we're just going to use titanium white to paint in the snow on top of the roof. And add in the windows, of course. Just little dabs. Next, we're going to take some Mars Black and we're going to paint in a little tree next to the steeple. So we're going to start about at the height of the roof of the steeple and then bring that down to where the bottom of the steeple is. And we're going to do that same, another tree next to the house right here and behind the house and in front of this house. So between each of the houses. And then even in front of this red house, a larger one that goes taller and farther than the previous ones. And we're just going to go ahead and add some branches onto these tree trunks. And you can add as many as you'd like or as few as you'd like. It's really up to you. If you're a beginner, you can always slow down this video or stop it and pause it if needed. But if you're more advanced, then you can go ahead and grab a liner brush maybe and get more detailed with the twigs and branches. Or we're just going to draw a few branches off of each of these tree trunks using our angular brush. Then we're going to add some sap green to our palette. Grab a little mini mop brush, tap into our sap green, Mars Black, and tap in some brush back here. And so we're just going to create some bushes over here and in front of the little chapel or steeple or whatever that's called, and in front of the houses too. So on the front of the red house and then along the side of it. We're just going to build them up a little bit. And then in front of this little house too. Rinse off your brush, put that away, add luminous warm yellow and luminous cool lemon yellow to your palettes. And grab a small number 2 filbert brush. And we're going to dip into some of that luminous yellow warm color and titanium white. And we're just going to add some color to the windows. So just paint in the white windows with this color. And you can see how vibrant this color already is, so it adds a lot of light to your painting. It's very vibrant and bright. And after you're done painting in your windows, go ahead and rinse off your brush. And we're going to tap into our titanium white and just paint in this front door with titanium white. And then we're going to grab some more titanium white and go over the rooftops again. So paint in the chapel rooftop, or steeple rooftop, this little house's rooftop, and then over the red house's rooftop too. Making sure that there's no sign of that red paint over there. And then we're going to take that titanium white and just paint in a little 2 dabs for windows. Then we're going to switch to our size 0 round brush, and we're just going to add in little red tabs for the side of the house. And we're going to rinse off our brush and grab some of that sap green, and we're going to paint a little wreath in front of this door. A little circle right there, just tap it in. Then we're going to rinse off our brush, tap our brush into some Mars Black, and then paint in some shutters for each of the windows on this little red house over here. So we're just doing little lines next to the windows. Then you can go ahead and rinse off your brush. Then we're going to pick up some titanium white and add some window trim to each of these windows. So a line on top, a line on bottom, and a line through the center. And don't forget about the little shutters on the windows up on top of the roof. And then you can go ahead and rinse off your brush after you're done with that and pick up some titanium white. And we're just going to outline the windows on this little house here using that titanium white color. Be careful of the little bushes that we made. And we're also going to take that titanium white and outline these, the door over here on this chapel and the windows as well. And all these little details make all the big difference. Don't forget about the big window up here. And the little clock, we're going to paint in Mars black. And then we're going to take some titanium white and go around the windows on this little house back here. And you can use a liner brush if you need to. You don't have to use a round brush if you feel like you have more control with a liner brush. Then we're going to take some Mars black. We're going to add some twigs to this tree over here, make it more twiggy. Actually, all of the trees, we'll just add a bunch of branches. Make it a little bit bigger, wider, thicker. Then we're going to take our little mop brush, grab some titanium white, and add some snow caps to the bushes. And then we're going to go back to our round brush. And we're going to tap into that luminous yellow and titanium white mixture for the windows. And we're going to just tap in the windows on top of the roof of the red house. And then switching to our liner brush, we're going to go ahead and start painting in some more of the branches on the trees, more fine detail. So once you're done with your branches on the main trees, we're going to go ahead and create a new tree. That'll be right in front of the chapel. So we're just going to go right in here with that raw umber color and just paint in a little tree right here. Add some branches. And then you're good. You can carry them down as far down as you'd like. Just try not to cover the entire chapel. Then we're going to rinse off our brush, grab our round brush, and we're going to go back in and just fix up some of the stumps to make sure that they're larger than the top portion of the tree. We want the trees to be thicker at the base of them rather than the top. The top should be more narrow. We want those trees to look like they're sitting out in front of the buildings too, or the houses. Let's go ahead and switch over to your scruffy brush. This is a brush that allows you to tap in and like pull paint along in a very soft manner. So we're just going to scumble out almost some darker snow with some ultramarine blue and some black and some titanium white, creating more shadows in the road area. And also down below the road area as well, where we'll have some bushes and whatnot. Just adding some shadows so it doesn't look so flat. And then we can grab some titanium white and highlight some of these areas as well. Once you're satisfied with the layout, go ahead and grab size 2 filbert brush, and we're just going to highlight the road where it ends with titanium white on both sides of it. Then we're going to add some more paint over here just to make this area look a little more flat. So rinse off your brush, go ahead and tap into some of that titanium white using a size 0 round brush or a liner brush. You can use whatever brush you feel comfortable with. I'm going to try my 00 round brush and try to, or liner brush, I'm sorry, and paint in some finer details for the trees, adding some snow to the branches, especially in the sky area where there's lots of contrast. Continue adding the snow areas as much as you'd like until you're satisfied with the number of branches covered with snow. They don't all have to be covered, but I'd say the majority of them should be covered with a little bit of snow, you know. And moving on to the tree over here, we're just adding on some snow right here, and then we'll finally add some snow onto the little tree to the far right, and then we'll be done with this. And we can rinse off our paintbrush, and then we can finalize some final details, I guess, real quick before moving on. Okay, now that we're done with that, we're going to take our size 6 flat brush, and we're going to go ahead and dip that into our phthalo green and some titanium white, and we're going to make a nice little light phthalo green color, and we're going to start painting in the inside of the house, like the wallpaper of the house. So towards the inside of the outside of the window frame, we're going to paint this all in this light green shade. So go all around the windowsill and paint this all in this nice green shade. And once you're done painting it in, we're going to go ahead and rinse off that brush and grab our size 2 filbert brush, and we're going to mix up some phthalo green and some black, some Mars black, to create a darker phthalo green color. And we're going to paint in little spots, or little like leaf-like shapes, I guess you could say. We're just going to add some texture to this wallpaper-ish look. So just add little spots here and there all along the phthalo green area that we just had painted in. I'm honestly just picking up paint and just dabbing it onto the canvas. I'm not doing any circular motions or anything. I'm just dabbing it on there just to get the paint on there and just add some textures. And once you're happy with that, go ahead and rinse out your brush. And we're going to add some crimson red with some titanium white and some Mars black, just to create a little, a deep red / light red shade. It'll make sense when you make it on your palette, but we want it to kind of be pale red, but like darker in tone. So go ahead and add this randomly throughout the green little specks that you made. And it's like a little Christmas color, the red and green mixed together. It looks really nice. And once you've done that, rinse out your brush, grab your size 6 flat brush, and we're going to add some burnt sienna to our palette, as well as some raw sienna to our palette. So go ahead and add those to your palette, and then we're going to dip into our raw sienna, and we're just going to highlight part of the window trim. So this side of the trim will be highlighted with some candles. So we're just going to grab some more raw sienna and some titanium white and just highlight that a bit more. Using that same color, we're going to add a little bit more of a highlight down the middle. And along the bottom of the little window trim as well. Once you're happy with that, grab some more. We're going to go to the right side of the left of the window trim. Highlight that side. And also highlight the left side of the right side of the window trim. And at this point, I'm going to take a hairdryer and just dry off my painting so that it's much easier to manage. So taking my size 2 liner brush now, I'm going to go ahead and line the areas that we just had highlighted with a little bit more highlighted color with that raw sienna and titanium white, and a little bit more white, just to highlight it really well. You don't have to use a liner brush. You can use a flat brush if you feel that you're more comfortable with that as well. It's really up to you. And then on the left side of the trim, we're going to use that burnt sienna color, and we're going to darken that side of the trim. Then we're going to switch to our size 6 flat brush and darken the underside of the trim on the bottom as well with that burnt sienna color. And then we're also going to darken the left side of the trim on the outside of that area too with that burnt sienna color. And obviously on the right side as well. This will give us a more 3D-like effect, which is what we're going for. Taking some additional titanium white, go ahead and highlight this edge again. We're just going to lighten it up a little bit more. Then we're going to take some lemon yellow with that titanium white, mix that up together, and we're just going to line this little edge of the windowsill. Grab more titanium white, we're just going to edge this edge of this windowsill over here. I know this is a lot of repeating the same thing over and over again, but this is just the reflection from the candle, so we really want certain areas to be brighter than others and other areas to be darker. Grabbing some burnt sienna, we're just going to shadow the other side of the windowsill. And then rinsing off our brush, we're going to grab some raw sienna, and we're just going down the center of this windowsill area over here. Grabbing more raw sienna, we'll go down the center of this little windowsill area. I don't know what to call it. I keep calling it a windowsill. I don't know what the trim of it is. I guess I'll call it the trim. So grabbing some more raw sienna and titanium white, we're just going to go over this little trim area of the windowsill. And then grabbing some burnt sienna, we're just going to go underneath it to shadow it some more. Back to the burnt sienna. We're just going to go back to the raw sienna, I'm sorry. We're just going to go right over here under that little trim area. And then on the inside of that trim and in the middle of that trim. We're just adding layers. So we've already done this, so and on top of that trim area. So whatever we've done, just repeat it over and over. So we want the raw sienna in the middle, the highlight on the edge towards the candles, and the shadow on the opposite edge. So more raw sienna on the inside. Grab some titanium white and raw sienna, and we're just going to highlight this little area a little bit more. And over here a little bit more. And on the inside here, right there, a little bit more. And then moving on to this little window pane area, and we're going to add some of that color to the inside of that window sill trim. And now that we're done our window, we can move on and take our little mop brush and tap into our raw umber and some Mars black, and we're going to create a very dark shade of brown. And we're just going to go over some of the trees with some foliage, some dark foliage in the very far distant background. And so just tap this in lightly. Make sure it's not in blobs. We just want it to look like foliage, but we don't want to cover all the tree branches. We want to go like around the tree branches and in between them, but try not to cover them up completely. You can go above them a little bit. Grabbing a little bit more, moving on to the next tree and around the red house. We're just going to add some of this brush over here. And then a little bit more to the far right side. And once you're done with that, you can go ahead and rinse that off, put that aside, and grab our liner brush and load that up with titanium white. And make sure you have lots of water in your mixture of paint. It needs to be an inky consistency for this to work well. And we're just going to add some snow to the branches. So just go over all of the branches, or most of the branches, especially the branches that are over the sky area that are covered with brush. And we're just going to add some snow. The branches that are in front of like the chapel right there, you won't really see if you add snow to them, so you don't really need to focus on those branches. So focus on the darker areas where there's the most contrast. So continue going over your branches until you're happy with them. They don't have to be perfect, but I mean, it's up to you. If you're a beginner, then take it easy. If you're more advanced, then obviously you're going to want to do more branches. Once we're done with that, rinse off your brush, put that aside, and grab your mop brush, and your mini mop brush, that is, and grab some titanium white with some water on it, and we're just gonna lay over a white glaze or haze to the background to make it set farther away and to make it look a little snowy and misty outside or a little bit foggy, and this will really set back that area that we just painted in. And so we're just going over the sky first. Make sure everything is dry before you go over it. It's super important. So we're going to stick to the sky area before moving on to the brush area or to the trees where we just painted, because if we go over that, we'll ruin the painting. So taking a hairdryer, I'm just going to dry off my painting real quick. Take your time with this. It may take a minute, it may take a few. Either that or you can take a break and let it air dry. But once it's dry, then we can go on and continue painting in that white layer of paint over the houses, over the trees, over everything that we've previously painted. And as you can see, it already makes it look set farther back than it previously was. This is a nice little trick to create a sense of depth or distance in a painting. Just make sure that you don't see any streaky marks, and if you do, just go over it and make swirls and just keep mixing it in until the paint really doesn't show any like streaky marks. Once you're done with that, grab your size 6 flat brush, go ahead and tap into some burnt sienna, and we're just going to draw in a little line right here going down to about there. And that is going to be a window pane, and then another one right here going all the way down, and another one going all the way down over here, and try to make these as straight as possible. I find it's easier just to make the line really quick, just using my arm, not using my wrist or my hand, but just moving my arm downward. And same with the horizontal lines. So just move your arm horizontally, try not to move your wrist or your hand, and just make sure that you try to make these as equidistant apart from each other as possible. I believe that's the word, equidistant. But anyways, once those are painted in, we're going to go now and we're going to highlight and shadow them using that raw sienna color, some titanium white, and some burnt umber. So simply using raw sienna, we're just going to go over those lines again, making them a little bit thicker. And you can see our painting is really coming along nicely, and we're almost done with the window. Once you're done with that, grab some lemon yellow with some titanium white. And I'm just going to add a bit of a highlight to the inside area of the window framed area. So just follow me along as I add this lemon yellow and titanium white to certain areas of the window pane. Basically, we're going to frame the entire inside of each of those squares. Or almost all of the squares. We do have to have a shadow on that thicker window pane section. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and dry off my painting, as the painting was wet and it wasn't taking too well. So you can either let it dry and take a break, or you can blow dry it and then you can continue working with the highlights. And this again will be the highlights from the candles that will be on a table that will be sitting in front of the right window. And this painting looks beautiful as is. You could actually just keep it like this if you really didn't want to paint in the candles or the table that we're about to paint in, but I think it really makes it look beautiful. I was quite pleased with this painting and how it came out, to be honest with you. It's the first window painting I've done with such detail work like this. Taking some titanium white and lemon yellow, I'm going to carefully edge this little area of the window frame and down at the bottom as well. I'm going to edge this little bottom of the window frame over here as well. Then we're going to take some Mars Black and just edge the far side of the window pane, the middle section, the left side of the middle section. I'm so sorry, it's very hard to describe this window. There's so many sections of it, so many quadrants of it. But right now we're just shadowing in with some raw umber. Grabbing some more burnt sienna, we're just going to go over the far left edge of the window one last time, just letting that be shadowed really well. And now we're going to switch over to our size 8 flat brush, and this is a stiff bristle brush. You can use a toothbrush to do this. We're creating little snowflakes or little droplets, so we're flicking the paint essentially at the canvas. So you want your paint to be a little bit wet, not too wet, or else the snow will be transparent. You can skip this step if you don't want to do this, or you can go in and individually add little dots everywhere. But I'm just spritzing the canvas basically with some white dots, and now I'm just cleaning up the windowsill area where there might be some white dots or some residue. And you just take a wet paintbrush and wipe those off. And so that's all I'm doing right now, is just cleaning it up a little bit. Grabbing a little bit of my raw sienna, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to start creating our little table below the right window. So do a straight line, and then we're going to come diagonally towards us and then go straight across again. And we're going to fill that all in. And since raw sienna is pretty much transparent, we're going to add some titanium white to that raw sienna and then fill it in again. This will help create an opaque layer of paint so that you can't see that wallpaper that we created. And go ahead and edge it around and with your burnt sienna. And then we're going to grab our raw sienna and add another little lip to the table. And then we're going to grab some titanium white with that raw sienna and go over that little lip that we created because it's transparent. So now I'm just fixing it up, and then I'm going to grab some raw umber and just edge that little corner again. And now with that white and burnt raw sienna, I'm just going to create some table legs. And we have our table. I'm just adding another layer of titanium white and raw sienna to the table so that it is more opaque. So now grabbing some titanium white and raw sienna, we're going to add another layer of paint to the top of our table. This one's a lot lighter than the other layer. And then we're going to take some burnt sienna and add that right below it. And then we're also going to add this to the legs of the table as well. Grabbing some raw sienna, we're just going to go over the top of the table now. And then rinse off your brush and grab some raw umber, and we're just going to go over the side of the table to shadow it in a bit. And then we'll also go down the legs and the back of the table between the windowsill and the table itself. We'll create a shadow right there. Then switching over to our small round brush, we're going to go ahead and dip into our raw umber and create a little branch over here, like a twiggy branch or a bush. And you can use your liner brush if you're more comfortable with that, or you can just use a round brush or even a flat brush or a filbert brush. They're all quite capable of creating this sort of bush or tree. But back to our small mop brush, we're going to tap into our sap green and Mars black and start tapping in some brush and foliage onto those twigs that we just created. So tap those in until you're happy. And go ahead and tap into some titanium white. And we're just going to cover up some of them with some snow. Not all of them, but just tap in some snow. Then switching over to our liner brush and adding some light blue violet to our palette, we're going to go ahead and pick up some light blue violet. Make sure you have plenty of water. And we're going to put some snow or some shadow of snow on our branches. And then cover those with some titanium white. Once you're satisfied with that, add some gold to your palette, and using our small little round brush, I believe this is a size 3 round brush, or a 00 round brush, I'm sorry. We're gonna go ahead and start creating our menorah, I believe. So go ahead and just follow along as I paint in the base structure of it, and then start bringing it up, and then paint out the candle holder pieces. So a straight line up. And then we're going to have a little like U shape right here. Then we're going to create another U shape right here. And one more U shape right here. And then you can just fix up any part of the menorah that you need to fix up, thicken up any of those little candle holders that you need to. Then we're going to take some titanium white and add a little bit of a shine to the base of it. Add some yellow to your palette, and just add some of that to the base just to make it a bit more yellow down there. Then we're going to go ahead and dab into our gold, and we're just going to fix up the tops of the menorah just to make them a little bit more level if they're uneven. And then we're just going to add the base of the candle holder. And then we're going to tap into some titanium white and add the little candle flame that is going above the candle. So we'll first go over this in white, and then we'll add the luminous yellow and luminous lemon to it afterwards. And then we're also going to go down the side of the candle to illuminate the candle a little bit to highlight it. And then grabbing some Mars Black, we're going to shadow in the base of the candle holder, so underneath the candle holder. And around the sides. And on the edges. Just to define it a bit more, make it seem a bit more round in shape. And also we're going to shadow in the sides where the light from the candles will not shine. So just think about how the candles would shine. So we're just shadowing the undersides of the candle holders, or the arms of the candle holders. Then we're going to add luminous lemon and luminous yellow to our palette. And we're going to pick up some of those colors with titanium white and add that to the flame of our candles. I'm going to add some more white underneath the candle to really highlight the candles. Then we're going to grab some luminous lemon and just go over the flame a little bit more. Grabbing some titanium white, I'm just going to add a little dot to the center of the flame where it'd be the hottest and the brightest. I'm going to grab some more of that luminous lemon and yellow and just add some highlights to the parts of the arms that would be highlighted from the candlelight. So this will be the inside of the arms. Grabbing some more Mars Black, we're just going to shadow in some of these areas again. The areas that we missed. And underneath the candle holders too, don't forget about that area. And then taking some titanium white, we're just going to add some white to the center of the candle holders to make them look more round. So that's where they'd be all shiny. Trying to make them look 3D. And then add some white to the top of the candle holders. And add a little bit more luminous yellow to our flames. Then we're going to add some crimson red to our palette and grab that up with our little round brush and add a little bow to our little wreath on that door. Sticking with our little round brush, we're going to go and grab some light blue violet and we're just going to add some window trim to our red house. So adding some horizontal lines. And some vertical lines. Then we're going to grab some raw umber and titanium white, and we're just going to mix that up to a very light shade and add some window trim to the steeple, or the chapel, or whatever you want to call it, the temple. Some vertical and horizontal lines, and then also to this house right here, the purple house, just add a quick little crosshair to the window. Then we're going to pick up some titanium white and highlight those candles again. And then we're going to take more titanium white and go along the bottom. And we're going to create a lace-like fabric underneath the menorah. So kind of just do little loops and hooks and little circle shapes around the base of the menorah. You don't have to do this. This is just something I thought I would add. You don't have to add anything around the menorah at all if you don't want to. I decided to add a little piece of lace and then a nice little wreath around it. So taking some sap green, I'm going to create the wreath that's going around it. Just doing little taps and dabs. Sap green and Mars black, sap green and Mars black. I'm just going to darken in the base of that wreath. Then I'm going to build it up as high as I feel comfortable with. Then I'm going to add some more sap green and lighten up the top part of it just to highlight it a bit. Then I'm going to add some lime green to my palette and pick that up and add some more highlights to the wreath. Just tapping in some highlights. Taps and dabs, taps and dabs. Then I'm going to add some scarlet red to my palette. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with that round brush. And we're just going to add some berries to this wreath. So randomly add a little bit of some taps in here to create some berries. I thought that was a nice little touch to this painting. Then I'm going to take a little bit of watered down raw umber and add a little shadow underneath the wreath on the table. And just scumble that around the tabletop. Then we're going to take our luminous lemon and luminous yellow and with our titanium white, and we're just going to add some more highlights to our menorah, to the inside of the arms, to make them really shine bright. We want that candlelight to really highlight those areas. And you can do this until you're satisfied with it. If you think yours is all set, then you don't need to continue doing this. And also highlight the base of it as well. Don't forget about that. So now we're going to our size 6 flat brush. We're going to pick up some titanium white and we're going to water it down a bit so that it's a very thin layer. We want it very transparent. And we're going to start creating some curtains. So just start pulling down some straight lines and some bent lines. And you can create these curtains however you'd like. And we're just going to create some thicker parts where the folds of the fabric will be. And that'll be more opaque, basically. So if you want your curtains just be straight down, you can have them straight down. If you want them sort of folded inwards like mine, how they're bunched up, you can do it that way as well. It's really up to you. You don't have to have curtains at all if you don't want to. But these are supposed to be sheer curtains. You can even shake the brush as you go down to give it a little wavy look. And we're also going to add a curtain to the right side of the window as well. So just repeat whatever you did on the left side. If you like it, just repeat that on the right side, using watered down white paint to make it as transparent as possible. Now that I've created the outline of my curtain, I'm going to go back in with more harsh white lines to create the ripples of the curtains. So these won't be as transparent, but more opaque. Once you're done with that, grab your size 2 filbert brush, and we're going to go ahead and tap into some titanium white and just paint in some of the ripples of the curtains where they're bunched up. And you can add a little bit more detail here if you'd like to, a little bit more white paint to show the curtains a bit more. If you don't want curtains, you don't have to paint them in. But I think they look cute. Going back to the candles, I'm just going to highlight them again with a little bit more white. And then I'm going to add some orange to my palette and grab that orange and just add some orange to the sides of the candles where they're burning, so it's as if they're reflecting the heat. And then I'm just going back over them with a little titanium white just to tone it down a bit so it's not so brilliantly orange. Once you're done with that, grab your size 6 flat brush, grab some titanium white and some yellow, and we're just going to add in some more highlights to the windows where they're reflecting from the candle light. And as we wrap up this painting, I hope you've enjoyed this YouTube tutorial. I know a lot of it was repetitive, but lots of layers of acrylic paint are needed to create an effect that you're going for. So all in all, this painting did take quite a bit of time, but I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it came out as well as you wanted it to. And other than that, please remember to like this video and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye!